What's up, guys? How are you guys doing? For those of you who don't already know who I am, my name is Marc-Anthony Marcelin. I'm the co-founder of MW Media, where we help coaches, creators, influencers, and consultants scale their info product businesses, their educational companies to 100K per month and past 100K per month with webinars and ads. The best way to scale any business in 2024, any educational business, right? So today we're going to be talking about how to scale your business to 100K per month with webinars. And in this video, you will never need another video about webinars ever again to get to 100K per month. This is all you'll need. Right? I'm literally giving you guys everything. My business partner, when I made this, I showed him. He said, "Mark, are you crazy? You're going to give them everything just like that for free?" I'm like, why not? Give them everything for free. Then you give value, value comes back in return. All right, so guys, let's get right into it. I know you're tired of hearing me yap, all right? So, again, my name is Marc-Anthony, and before the age of 21, I sold over $1.5 million worth of product online, and here's some proof for you, if you don't believe me, all right? So, now I'm the co-founder of NW Media, and we help coaches, creators, influencers, and consultants scale their educational companies using webinars. And this is some screenshot proof of one of our clients, $218,000 at a 4X ROAS, right, in 90 days. That's return on ad spend, right? Using only webinars. That's all we use, right? Webinars. Webinars are the best. All right, guys. And in this video, you're going to be able to steal everything that I say. Literally take it and run with it, okay? Because you're going to be able to convert more eyeballs into customers, more traffic into cash. All right, guys? So we're going to be talking about our webinar acquisition system, or how we like to call it at our company, the influencer funnel system. And you're going to be able to bring in customers reliably without fail. All right? You're going to get so good at this, you're going to be able to sit at your computer once a week, turn on your camera, present for 90 minutes, and after that, you're going to see $20, $30, $40, $50,000 hit your bank account like that. It's going to be like, you're going to think it's magic, all right? And we're going to give you KPIs for success, and you can manipulate each of these metrics in order to increase the amount of revenue that you'll make. Let's get right into it, okay? So why do webinars even work? All right, so you may run webinars, or a buddy of yours may run webinars. Have you seen the top influencers in any space run webinars? Dean Graziosi, Tony Robbins, Russell Brunson, even Alex Hormozi has ran a webinar before, right? So webinars have been a thing, before I started advertising on the internet and before you started advertising on the internet, right? But now more than ever, they work incredibly well. So why the heck do they work so well? Well, since the pandemic, if you were running webinars in the pandemic, you know how easy it was to make money, right? People that were running webinars in the pandemic, they made out like bandits. I mean, they made millions and millions of dollars running webinars, right? The reason being obviously because stimulus checks, and people were just home, right? They were on their phones. They wanted to learn how to do different things online, whether that's make money online or get better relationships or get in healthier. Health started to take off after the pandemic too, right? So more people want to connect with their favorite creators, their favorite influencers, right? And webinars allow them to connect in a live environment. They get value, and then obviously, you pitch at the very end and you make money, okay? You provide value, you get paid. It's that simple. And influencers like yourself, I know that the term influencer is like a buzz term now and people hate being called it. But it's true, you are an influencer because you have influence over your audience's decisions, right? It can be in a positive way, which I hope that's what you're doing, right? In a positive way, you're influencing your audience's decisions in order to make their lives a lot better with what you're teaching, okay? So this is the software that we use for our clients, Webinar Jam, all right? Now this is Twitch. You're probably familiar with that. So can you spot the difference between the two of these? No, there is no difference. There's zero difference, right? And that's what I tell all my clients. When you're running webinars, before you even hop on a webinar, go watch a streamer. Go watch how they interact with their audience, right? Because how they interact with their chat, how they provide value. Obviously, they're providing value in entertainment, not really educational. Whereas we're providing educational value, but they're getting paid like us every single day they run webinars, right? So again, the live interaction element, people love to connect with humans in real time, right? Especially since the pandemic, right? Because no one could talk to each other, right? We were all in our houses. So the next best thing was to connect with people online in a live environment, okay? You get to build trust and authority. It seems like everyone in every niche, if you give me a niche, I can tell you someone that's running a webinar in that niche at a very high level, right? And they're almost now the authority in that niche because of a webinar, right? People who have webinars, they're just authority. Like people just think they just, that they know everything, right? Well, they do know a lot. Like Russell Brunson, Dean, Tony, Alex Hormozi, like these guys are at the top of the top of the top of their niche, like a status, right? A big part of that, a lot of people know these guys from their webinars. Grant Cardone, a lot of people know Grant from his webinars, all right? So this is not talked about enough as well, what I'm about to get into. And I want you to really pay attention to this because this is important and no one talks about this, okay? So the average sales cycle for someone to usually buy something from you is 5 to 7 touch points. The greater your price is, the more touch points you'll get, like Rolex, okay? Well, that you'll need. So I've been wanting a Rolex ever since I was probably like 10 years old, right? I'm 22 right now. So 12 years I've wanted a Rolex, okay? I don't have a Rolex now, but obviously I will get a Rolex at some point, okay? Why do I want a Rolex though? Rolex has hit me from so many different touch points in that 12 years, right? I'm very curious to see what their LTV is for a customer, but they've hit me with so many touch points in order for me to buy a 35, 40, 45, $50,000 watch. Oh my gosh, let me take a drink of water. And the reason being, of course, is their price is so high, right? So they command a high price, so they need more touch points in order for a person to buy. So on our clients' webinars, a lot of the customers that buy, it's their very first time seeing our creator live, our client live. It's the very first time they've ever touched them, right? The very first touch point is the webinar, right? So you're able to condense a sales cycle that could take days, weeks, months, years into a 90-minute presentation, right? Sales cycle, you condense it into a 90-minute presentation. I mean, if you don't see how powerful that is, I don't know what else to tell you, because that's insane, right? What webinars allow you to do. And by the way, I know you're thinking it, okay? You don't have to be amazing on camera. You don't have to be incredibly entertaining to print hundreds of thousands of dollars with this vehicle, okay? You don't. All you have to do, you have to watch this entire video first. That's the first thing you have to do. You need to watch this entire video. Do not click off this page for any reason, all right? And let's talk about the components of a successful webinar. Because if you copy the components of a successful webinar and you watch this entire video, you will make more money. All right, it's just a fact. All right. So the key components of a successful webinar, there's 3: registration rate, show rate, and conversion rate. All right. So let's talk about registration rate first. This is how many people register for your webinar. All right. So the minimum KPI that you want to go for, all right, is for organic traffic. If you're generating traffic from organic means, email, organic content, YouTube, for example, 30% registration rate is the minimum that you want to see. Obviously, you can get them much higher than that. You can get 40, 50% opt-in rates for your webinar, but you want a minimum of 30, okay? Now, cold traffic, 25% is acceptable, okay? Especially if you're selling something high ticket, right, where they have to book a call at the end of the webinar. It's like $3,500 and up. You can get away with 25% registration rate, as long as your show rates hold true, as long as all these other metrics hold true at all, right? But you want 30% for all of them, but cold traffic, 25% is perfectly fine, okay? Show rate, it doesn't matter if it's cold or organic, minimum 30%, no exceptions. You need a 30% show rate. You will make the most amount of money with 30% show rate. All right. Well, if you sell high, everything has its caveats, right? Because if you sell high ticket, you can have a less than a 30% show rate, right? But you really want a 30% show rate. So how many people buy at the end of the webinar is your conversion rate, and you want a minimum of 5% of people to purchase. Minimum. All right. That's an average webinar. You're doing good. Okay. The closer you can get to 10%. Now, that's a webinar where you're killing it every single week, man. You're racking in cash, all right? And for us, we look at 2 metrics. We look at the amount of attendees that are at the webinar during the pitch, that conversion rate, and we look at how many people total join the webinar to conversion rate. The reason being is because we know if we increase the amount of people that are at the pitch, we can increase the amount of people who buy, which means we just need to increase the retention, which means we need to either make the webinar shorter, we need more interaction with the audience, X, Y, and Z. There's a whole bunch of different things you can do. Maybe that's for a later video, but those are the KPIs that we look for in our business, okay? So these are some examples of our clients' businesses, okay? Hosted on Webinar Jam, all right? There is a caveat to this. We do use Zoom sometimes for clients. The reason being is for some clients we've seen, Zoom has a high on webinar conversion. So what does that mean? With Zoom, it's very hard to remarket strategically on the back end, as is with Webinar Jam. Because with Webinar Jam, you can segment people off of they registered but they did not attend, they attended but they did not buy, right? Can't do that with Zoom, which is why we like Webinar Jam. But for some reason, for some specific clients, on webinar conversion is higher on Zoom than it is on Webinar Jam. But of course, the back end conversion is way higher when we run Webinar Jam. Right, so it really depends what your strategy is, okay? So this is organic right here, 50% show rate. This was a crazy webinar this was a high ticket product that we sold, right? And this is a cold traffic, 30% show rate, all right? 1,800 registrants, 30% sign up rate, right? Very strong numbers, okay? And these are numbers that you need to hit, when you're running webinars. If your sign up rate is lower, especially if you're running ads, perfectly fine. Just make sure that your show up rate is higher, okay? So generating traffic for your webinars, of course, two main means: paid and organic traffic. Use Facebook and Instagram for paid. That's what we like to use, okay? Organic traffic, obviously, you can use YouTube. You can use email lists. I know people that run webinars through LinkedIn, right? And they print, right? So any organic means, you can do that for our webinars. We feel like it's less predictable, right? With paid webinars, of course, like I just showed you with our client, a 4x return on ad spend. We know if we give Facebook $1, we get 4 out at the back end, right? Obviously, at scale, that number can drop, but we know, we give Facebook $1, we get 4 back. I mean, that's the most predictable that you can get. With organic, not as predictable. Okay, for your ad content, all of our ads usually, pretty much all of them, 90% of them, just talk about pain. All right, now the reason being is, when you advertise to a market, you want to create a problem or create a pain, all right? Because if the pain is not strong enough, they will not take action, okay? So you create pain, the solution's on your webinar. So do you see in the prospect's mind, right? They're in pain. The only way I can find out the solution is to join this webinar, right? Which is why webinars work so well, okay? So everything starts and ends with traffic. You need more eyeballs on your webinar to convert into more cash, okay? Like I just said, when creating content or ads for your webinar, you want to frame your webinar as an exclusive or live event. Don't call it a webinar unless you're in a very sophisticated market where everyone runs webinars. You can use the term webinar, right? You can be more transparent that way, but any other time you want to really disguise the sales process, okay? Stay away from using the word webinar, like I just said, all right? Creating the perfect opt-in page. All right, so let's talk about the first step, which is the opt-in page. First, you want out a headline. You want a pre-headline that calls out your target market and grabs their attention. This pre-headline should repel away people that you don't want to join the webinar and draw in closer people that you do, okay? You need to be very specific with the people you want in that live room because those are people who are going to give you money. Headline, you're going to make a big, bold promise about the content that's going to be on the webinar. What tangible thing can they hold? Sometimes I see people run webinars, but what the big idea or the promise they're giving someone to learn on the webinar, it's not tangible, right? Even if your offer is not a make money offer, right? For an instance, there's a guy in the relationship niche. He runs a webinar where he teaches people how to find your dream partner. This is tangible. You can hold that. Okay, that makes sense. You can conceptualize that, right? But teaching people like anything that's not tangible, your webinar just won't work, okay? You have to people have very busy lives, so they literally must set aside time for you to join your webinar, right? Which means they're taking time away from something else. You need to make the promise worth it, right? The subheadline you use without statements, without X, without Y, without Z. List the things that they don't want to do, all right? So you'll be able to get into Airbnb without good credit, without a lot of cash, without X, Y, and Z, okay? And then on the page as well, we break down the workshop into 3 parts, okay? You want to break down whatever you're teaching into 3 main sections and put that on the opt-in page that they'll learn. If you don't know who Garrett J. White is, this is an example. I'll link this down below of his opt-in page. This guy absolutely prints, right? You use this opt-in page as an example, right, of what to do, okay? So now let's get into the next metric for success, which is show rates, okay? There is nothing more embarrassing when you show up to a live webinar, you practice the script over and over and over again, and nobody shows up. All right, you don't want that to happen to you, right? You really don't, okay? So make sure you pack your webinar with eager to buy leads, right? Eager to buy prospects. And this is how you do it, okay? There's 4 main things that you need to do in order to get people to show up, okay? So thank you page. On the thank you page, after they register for the webinar, they're going to go to a page, which is just a thank you page, a VSL of you talking about the webinar, what to expect on the webinar, okay? You're pre-framing them before the webinar. Use this time to create a mini sales argument as to why they should show up, all right? So you need to sell them on showing up because people, it's not the pandemic anymore. People aren't just going to show up to your webinar. They need to be sold on showing up. Email sequences, these are absolutely huge. You want to send 3 to 5 emails before the webinar to warm up attendees. In your email sequences, you're going to showcase results. You're going to handle objections, and you're going to provide value. We like to call it the indoctrination sequence, right? Because we're ethically brainwashing our audience to show up, okay? You're going to use open loops to tease the prospects on the ideas that you're going to be revealing on the webinar, right? Text messages. You use text messages as nothing more than reminders. Do not use text messages to provide value. I see a lot of times people send these long text messages. People hate that, okay? In the text message, all you want to do is start conversations. all right, and reminders, okay? So you send simple reminders and ask people to reply back, because when they reply back to you, they're engaging with you, which means they're more likely to show up to your webinar, all right? And then day of reminders, we like to send 2 emails the day of, one in the morning and one 15 minutes before the webinar begins. And text messages, remember to send reminders the day of, right? So this is some secret sauce as well. Don't share this with anyone. But in Webinar Jam, you when someone is in the meeting room, okay, you can put copy in the meeting room. All right, this webinar is about to begin in 5 hours, right? On the webinar, what we like to literally tell people is, do not click off this page, all right? Do not leave this page, okay? Or else you'll lose out on a chance of X, Y, and Z. It sounds dumb. Trust me, it works. It just works, all right? Telling people do not leave this page. It just works. Just do it, okay? Just do it. All right, so this is the part where most people get wrong, the presentation, which we're about to go in right now, all right? It doesn't matter how many people show up or how many people register. If your presentation is not good, people will not buy and your efforts will have been wasted, all right? So I could go on and on I could go on and on for hours, really talking about how to present on a webinar. But I want to keep the retention rate high on this YouTube video. We're at 16 minutes right now. Do not click off this video for any reason. All right. So I want YouTube to be able to push this out to more people. So I need to keep the retention rate high. So I'm going to give you 3 main things, only 3 things that you're going to be able to do. If you do these 3 things, if everything else fails, if you do these 3 things, you will make money. All right. If everything else fails, given that you have a good offer, again, the caveat is your offer has to be good. All right. So let's begin. Okay. So you need to handle objections early on the webinar. When I mean early, I mean the first 5 to 10 minutes. Handle all objections. All right, guys, listen. To be able to get into to real estate, you don't need money. You don't need credit. You don't need to be a real estate agent. You don't need this. You don't need that. You don't need this. All right, you don't need that. You don't need to spend hours per day driving for dollars. Right? Handle every single objection. Every single objection your audience will have. Even if your audience has like a minute objection, like, do I need a laptop to do this? I don't have a laptop. You don't need a laptop to do this, right? Your audience will try to tell themselves anything in order not to buy, right? So you need to handle every objection in the very beginning of the webinar, all right? So these are some objections, of course: time, money, and belief, all right? Belief. This is the biggest objection you need to handle, all right? Because if they do not believe that they can do it, they will simply not buy. But if they believe they can do it, time goes out the window, money goes out the window, because there's belief. So this is the strongest objection, and this is the objection that's hardest to overcome, but the most important to overcome, okay? Now, smooth transition to the close. All right, I see a lot of people mess this up, all right? So they're very hype during the webinar, right? Very excited to share the content, but when it comes to the pitch section, they get nervous, or they're laid back, or they're chill. Right? Or the opposite. They're very chill, mellow during the webinar, but when it comes to the pitch, now they're excited, now they're jumpy, right? Your audience can sense that. Oh, he's trying to sell me, right? So you don't want to do that, right? You want a smooth transition to the pitch. You want to guide your audience emotionally to the pitch. Picture you're pushing a boulder down the hill, all right? Picture the transition as gaining momentum towards the pitch, all right? And we do that by drawing emotions out of our audience with 6 rhetorical yes questions. Shout out to Jason Fledlin. This is his ideas that he does for his webinars, and they work. All right, so you're going to ask 6 open-ended rhetorical questions before you pitch. Examples, all right? Do you believe this workshop was valuable? Do you believe that using the strategies in the workshop you can achieve X, Y, and Z result? Do you believe I am the only one in the universe to get you the X, Y, and Z result? Right? Yes, 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 yes. What is this doing? We're putting them in a buying state. All right. Now they're saying yes to us before we even pitch. All right. When we pitch, what are they going to say? Yes. All right. It sounds dumb. I know. It works. Please do it. Just do it. It works. All right. So again, back to the pitch. The pitch should feel very natural. All right. You don't want to be overly excited or overly mellow when you pitch. The same energy we need to have throughout the entire webinar. All right. Keep the same composure. You don't want your audience to perceive you as too salesy, all right? Again, the transition brings momentum towards the close. You need to capitalize off the momentum, all right? So you're speeding towards the close. Capitalize off that, right? The webinar replay, this is not 100% necessarily. We like to create a separate replay page for those who do not attend the webinar because we're able to use a whole bunch of different copywriting techniques on the page. So you can do this. You don't need to do this, but you can do this to send out replays, all right? So on the replay page, if you were to do it, include a countdown timer for urgency. Send it to non-attendees, non-buyers. And if you're running book call webinars or anything like that, send that to people who didn't book a call. And you want 10% of the live attendees to land on the replay page or to watch the replay. All right. And again, this is not necessary, but we like to use it. You're going to recoup a lot of buyers on the back end because people have busy lives. You need to also understand that as well. You know, people, they have daughters, sons, they have basketball games, there's Sunday night football. You know, they just didn't watch your webinar, right? So to capitalize off that, we just send the replay. All right. So what do we do from right here? Okay. So first, all right, I thank you for watching through this whole video. You actually listened to me. You didn't click off this video. So I thank you. All right. So one, what we're going to do, you're going to implement every single one of these strategies that we talked about during this webinar. I mean, during this an instance, this is like a little bit of a webinar, right? But in this video, you're going to implement all of these strategies. All right. This system is a reliable and predictable way to get customers for your business. All right. It just works. It works. Okay. And once you get really good, like I said, you're going to turn on your camera and then for 90 minutes, you're going to sit 20K, hit your bank account. It's like, seriously, like, here's the proof. 90 minutes, 20K, hit his bank account. You run, let's do some math though. You know, you run 4 webinars a month. That's 80K in front end revenue. We didn't even cover the things you could do on the back end. 90-minute presentation, 20K cash. This is not revenue. This is cash in the bank. All right. So I hope you see how amazing webinars are. I hope you really enjoyed this video. And you need to incorporate webinars into your business. You don't even need to make webinars the main funnel that you run. Just run them. You make money. Like if you like money, just run webinars. I mean, it's the best funnel. It really is. All right. However, though, if you would like me and my team to install a done-for-you webinar infrastructure into your business using our influencer funnel system, right? In order to make you a lot more money, in order to make you an authority in your niche, because a webinar brings a lot of authority in your niche, all right? In order for us to build a proven acquisition system into your business using webinars, then what you're going to do is you're going to click the link down below, all right? On that link, you're going to book a discovery call with myself as not a member of my team. I take all the calls, all right? Because I want to connect with you on a one-on-one basis, all right? So we're going to talk, all right? And we're going to talk about your business and see if webinars can even be installed into your business. So thank you guys so much for watching this entire video. I'm going to create a lot more videos like this. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found a lot of value out of this video. So I'll talk to you guys soon. Love you guys. Peace. Bye.